Hello, my name is Chris Underwood. I'm an author of a disaster fiction series set in modern time about the power grid going down. It happens in the wintertime, so I call it the cold winter. The first book of the series, I follow a group of families as they're trying to help each other, trying to do the right thing for the people who are showing up on their doorstep. Even when doing the right thing isn't working out all that great, they still keep on trying. And in the second book, which is the call to arms, they begin to realize that there's more going on than just a power outage. There's a coup against the country happening, so they join a local Minuteman militia to fight back. And that militia has a Huey helicopter, so I have some cool scenes with that. And in the third book is where that militia takes possession of this ship, the LST-325, a decorated World War II ship that was there on D-Day in the beaches of Normandy, rolled up to the beach and rolled out armored vehicles to assault the enemy. This is the ship the Minuteman militia takes possession of. Right here in Evansville, Indiana, on the Ohio River. They take it up the Ohio River to rescue a VIP and bring him back to safety. And along the way, they have some battles and liberate some locks. They have some fun things that I use everything that this ship is capable of doing. It's a cool story with interesting characters and a realistic scenario that brings old school machinery out of retirement for a modern day mission. The book is available on Amazon. It is also on Audible and also on my website, which is author Chris A Underwood. It's an action-packed series. I encourage you to give it a try. You won't be disappointed.
Everybody, welcome back to Living the Next Chapter. It's the Author Podcast. We get to meet amazing authors from around the world. If you want a unique place to sell your books, Chris is going to tell you about a thing that he does. I'm really excited about this. Chris Underwood's on the podcast, and we're going to talk about his journey. Lots of things to read, lots of things to fall in love with, and I'm so glad to have time with him, that he's made time for us in his busy day to hang out and talk authorship. Can you tell everybody where you are, Chris, in this big world of ours?
I am in Columbus, Ohio. Actually, a little town called Galena. It's just north of Columbus.
Yeah.
And it's actually the setting of my story, of my cold winter series. I have to say that the home in the story is mine. You just kind of, and it's right on the little town, a little village, Mayberry Town Square, and that's where we're at.
Very good, awesome. Big town, little town. Like, what are we talking population?
Little town,
size?
like 600 people.
Oh, wow.
And my home is historical. It was built in the 1850s or so. It was the village telegraph office. And then later was the telephone office. The little switchboard operator worked right out of our dining room. And
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So it's got some history. And so that's kind of cool. We completely restored the home, gutted it, and while living in it, and crazy stuff.
Wow. Any interesting finds in the process of redoing the house?
Yeah. We found that right about the time that the switchboard operator was in the house, that was about 1910, we found that person had a habit, and the walls were full of whiskey bottles. All of them empty. Probably about 100 whiskey bottles that we found. and they didn't put them in the trash. They were trying to keep it secret, it seemed like. And so I have a display of all the whiskey bottles found in the house.
Those are nice artifacts to have, just date-wise.
Yeah. None of them are probably any huge value, but it's kind of neat as a collection. Oh, and also lots of lemon extract and vanilla extract bottles, because those are 50% alcohol. They must have been hard up at once or twice.
Oh, wow. That's something you wouldn't expect to find in a wall somewhere.
Right. Yeah, those are probably the ones that are the most valuable. Those, the little extract bottles, those are kind of cool.
Wow, that's pretty cool. All right. I would love to live in a historical house, except maybe for the amount of work it takes to turn it into something livable for today's standards. But my gosh, that'd be so amazing to know that people have been there for so long in that place, right?
Right. Yes.
So if those walls could talk, well, they did. They offered up their whiskey, so
yes, they did. They did.
Wow,
they offered
that's
up
amazing.
quite a bit.
Awesome. Chris, tell us a little bit about your background as an author. Like, how did you stumble your way into writing your books? Like, how did this happen?
Well, I was always a writer, and growing up, and I think I still have my first book from third grade, which was called The Three-Headed Snake, and it's all got construction paper with crayons and stapled cover and all that. But I wrote through college. I took a lot of creative writing courses. I got a minor in English, but I followed my business degree, accounting and computer science, to support my family. But when I came back around to it, about 15 years ago, I started writing. I got into preparing a little, being a prepper, and it really got me to thinking of a good storyline. And you start thinking about, what would you do on day one of an event or day two, and so that, I was able to put that into paper.
Nice.
And that really gave me something good to write about.
One thing I like to ask writers about is what they like to read as well. Like if you have some downtime and you get a chance to read anything, what kind of books are you drawn to? Any authors in particular?
Clive Cussler. I'm an action adventure. Well, of course, Ian Fleming was my favorite growing up, and I've gotten into some of the action adventure ones that get very technical, but then again, I like to keep it more general. So Clive Cussler would get to that level, the level that I liked, and I've tried to get into smaller authors that are not as well known, but also the one story, the 1 second after that series, really affected me, and that's what helped me to get in the direction I'm going.
Interesting. Okay, so you talked about finding the whiskey bottles in the walls of your house. That was an indication of the person that lived there. If we were to rip open a wall into your writing, can you tell us a little bit what would be hiding behind the walls? What kind of things for you inspire you, captivate you, you're addicted to, in a sense, that you love, you're passionate about? What would we find behind your walls?
Oh, man. Well, I would, I've read, I would bounce back and forth between, fiction and nonfiction. I've always, looked into some self-help things to better myself and that sort of thing. Wow. I guess I just read whatever would come across and find, I would find benefit in anything. You can, just like working for a good boss or a bad boss, you learn what is the right way to go about things and the wrong way of what appeals to you. But inside the walls, I don't know.
Making you think.
I've also written a lot of poetry and things like that. But haven't really found a route to use that. And I guess I'm always having a creative outlet. Like restoring this home, I became a pretty good finished woodworker and restorer of antique furniture and things like that. Yes. Finding all these creative artistic outlets, but those have kind of gone to the wayside, and writing has become the one that I'm really working on now.
Beautiful. I love it. We have authors listening to the show, and they're here to get inspiration from someone further down the road than they are. You have multiple things you've worked on and a lot for readers to fall in love with. But for an author that's just starting out, what would have been helpful for you to hear when you first started your journey, maybe from a fellow author like you now that's further down the road? What would have been helpful for you to hear back when you first started writing?
My internet connection is looking a little unstable, but I think is it coming back here?
I have you good. There you go.
I'm kind of losing you a little bit.
There you go.
Are you still seeing me well?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine. I got you.
Okay. All right. All right. You're saying that what brought me back to writing?
What would have been inspiring for you to hear from another author when you first started?
Oh, well, that's the thing. When I first got back into writing, it took me a good 6 or 7 years to get to a final product. And what I did was I joined a local writing group that they would meet once a month. They would, we would give each other a chapter and we would critique it. And and it was really good feedback. A lot of negative feedback, which is something that I needed. You needed to, I needed to refine it and make it better, and and if I was just giving my work to family or somebody, they'd always say, "Oh, it's great just the way it is." No, it needed work.
Mm. Right.
I was glad to get that. I was glad to get that feedback. And so that's really what it takes.
Yeah, because I want to help the authors that are listening. I want to encourage them. I mean, especially if they're just starting out. You got like 2 words on a piece of paper, and they're like, "I would love to be where Chris is, but I know it's going to take time. I got to work at this." Right. I just want to encourage them that it's possible.
Right. It was best. It was hard to receive. It's hard to receive that negative. But it's necessary. It really is. And not that my peers knew everything either. But still, it was good to be able to get honest feedback from other readers and writers, and be able to get that feedback and work towards it. Like one of the feedbacks that I received was, I was writing in the first person pretty much, and they came back and said, your first person voice and your narrator are getting confusing. It's hard to keep the two apart, and you might want to try writing in third person. And that was a painful thing to hear, and but in the end, it was really great advice, and I took it and ran with it, and it really helped with my story. And it allowed me to not be trapped in that first person thing of you only see what the first person sees, and being able to expand the story and be able to have that third person oversight.
Okay, yeah, that's a good insight. I like that, and I like that you're open to that feedback as well. That's good. That's really important. The one thing that we talked about the intro part, we talked about the fact that you do something unique to promote your books. You're out there traveling, meeting people, but you're doing it in a very unique place that I've never heard anybody talk about before. You're doing it on base in military bases, traveling around. You just came back from doing a tour, a book tour, like a real book tour, which is really amazing. Tell us a little bit about where you went, and I'm really curious how you even got into doing this. Give us a little history of it.
Last year I took the year to write and finished and completed my latest book in November, and so this year I dedicated more towards touring, and so I just got on the internet and just started really hammering away trying to find good locations, good things to go to, and I came across this Military Heroes Comic-Con. And it is kind of new. It's only been around for a couple of years. I think they just started getting back, able to get into military bases, after COVID and all of that. So they have some celebrities involved going to it. They're mainly voice actors for anime and things like that. Although there was the original Batgirl from the Batgirl's TV show, or Batman TV show with Adam West. She was on tour with us at one location. That was great meeting her. But yeah, it was. And so when I contacted the organizer and told them what I'm doing, they were like, "Oh, this is great. This is exactly what would work well with us." So they really kind of rolled out the red carpet for me a little bit, which is great. And helped me. The whole process of getting vetted and getting your vendor's number and everything for a military base is a process. So it was a little bit of work there, and you have to go through like a TSA kind of approval, but it was good once I got in there, and so I did a tour. It was a 3-week tour with them. We went to 3 bases in a row. Went to Fort Benning in Georgia, Fort Gordon also in Georgia, and then Fort Campbell in Kentucky. And luckily I had some friends in Atlanta I was able to stay with, keep my costs down, because in between shows I didn't come home, and it was great. I had a really good show of it. I was able to work in some other things as well. In between, I volunteer with a helicopter group for for mainly for my writing, getting some good background for my stories. And so I was able to. They had a pilot training going on that week, which was great. I was able to hang out with them and talk with pilots and talk with the mechanics and just hang out. It was yeah, great times. I was able to make a lot out of this 3 weeks.
It's great. What kind of conversations are you having at your table with your books when people come up to you and talk to you? Like, what kind of things are your readers asking you? Any kind of interesting questions or comments that are coming to you?
I get a lot of I get some people who are were real diehard preppers and wanting to talk to me about you know preparations, all sort of thing. But mainly I was talking to a lot of young guys who had just gone through their basic training and were just getting looking at their future and saying, I'm going to have some downtime. I need something to read in between, while I'm moving around and going to my next place. And and so it was really cool just to be able to talk to somebody embarking on their next stage of life and wanting to read my book, to now pass their time. And it was really neat. It was really neat to talk with people with lots of different situations of life.
Yeah, I saw a couple of soldiers being interviewed on TV, new recruits, and I'm like, they look like they're like 12. Like, they look so young. I'm like, oh my gosh, what? Do your parents know you're here? Like, really? They look so young. And I'm like, that's our future out there, going out to serve their country. And I'm like, oh my gosh, so inspiring to see these kids wanting to serve and to chase this dream of protecting their country and serving for the country. I just think it's inspiring. So, wow.
Yeah. It's really neat. It was really neat. And, and I was meeting some officers as well coming through. I mean, we were set up in the PX, which is basically a little mall on base, and it had everything. They had a Bath and Body Works, a Starbucks. So everybody was there, and and of course the people in the service are always coming there because they're not charged tax either, and so it's a different kind of mall for them. And so yeah, they buy everything there. It was like a Target store. They were buying a little bit of everything, buying even lawn furniture for their for their apartments and stuff. So yeah, it was really cool. The whole spectrum was there, and there's even one guy walked by had a hat on from the helicopter group that I volunteer with. I'm like, hey, I got that hat. And he came over, and then we just talked forever. It seemed like we talked forever. That he is also a volunteer with the helicopter group that I do, and he bought all the books too. So it was great.
Awesome. Anytime that an author can meet their readers in person, I think that's really cool. And for readers to meet you, maybe even for the first time, and go, tell me more about your books. Like, what a personal way to connect with your reader. I think that's awesome.
Oh, it really does. Yeah. And it seems that there's a lot of people. It's the first time they've received a signed copy of a book, and so yeah, it gets really special. And sometimes they're just buying the first book, which is just fine with me, because I know my first book. If they read it, they'll be going for the next, and because it has a hook. Of course, you gotta have that twist ending at the end. That will bring them on for the next one. But also, they want to get the rest of the set and have it signed as well. So that's always been cool.
Cool. Let's jump into the Cold Winter series. I want to know more about where the idea came from as far as the first book, and then kind of how this developed throughout the series. But for a new reader coming to you for the first time, talk a little bit about where the origin of the Cold Winter series began.
Like I said, I got into the whole prepping idea. I mean, back in wherever it was, 2010, there was a TV show. It was like Doomsday Preppers or something like that. That was really popular. And they would focus on one prepper guy, and then go through look at his prepper survival technique that he's using. Like one guy had a vineyard and he was just stockpiling all this wine, and he said that it was going to be his currency for the future. People would be coming to him for alcohol. It seemed like a decent plan, but I started following along with that and started thinking, okay, what would I do? How would I prepare for my location and going forward, and what would I do on day one and day two and day three, and so once I started looking at it that way, then putting it on paper became a good thing to do, which is why my story has my house in it. But it goes beyond that. It goes beyond that whole situation of that. It's just how it started. My main concern at that time was about the power grid going down. I figured, if a nuclear explosion goes off, I'm done anyway. So what would really concern me, and also the most likely situation, would be the fragile power grid going down. And I based it on the event that happened back in 2003, which was the Northeast power blackout that took out the Niagara Falls power grid and also took out part of Canada as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
During that whole thing, it just started in Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, and it cascaded across and took out the whole grid. And New York City was out. Ohio was down for like 3 or 4 days. And so if that were to happen in the wintertime with a big snowstorm coming in, they would have a real hard time replacing things, and it could last for the entire winter. So that was kind of the basic premise at the beginning, and I just kind of ran with that idea of, okay, what would happen next, and all the freeways would get loaded with cars, people trying to get out of the area, which would be a detriment to repairing anything. You'd have all these freeways clogged with cars, so how would you get any equipment around?
Like your prepping side, you have people preparing for the future to keep themselves safe when they need the supplies, they have them. Where you live, though, you had the opposite. You had a person hiding things in the wall from things they have consumed. Like, it's almost the opposite of what you're talking about in your book. But do you think any of that kind of background and thing that you saw in your house had any kind of significant impact for you that maybe kind of led you down this path to write about a prepping type situation? Because it feels almost the opposite of what you were talking about, but maybe it influenced you a little bit. I don't know.
Well, as we restored the home, I kind of built in some prepping things and some extra material for being able to be prepared. Extra lumber and extra things to be able to protect myself. So I guess as I have rebuilt the home, I've built in things to be able to prepare.
Very interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Your character in The Cold Winter, do we follow one character throughout the 4 in the series so far? Are we getting different characters in the series? Like, how does this develop for us as readers?
Yeah, I follow the main character. The main character is somewhat like myself, and but I torture the poor guy. I I really do. I put him through a lot. And maybe that is a little bit of me, of a little bit of a self-destructive nature of myself. But yeah, I follow him a lot. But also he becomes injured after a while, and so his mobility is hurt. So I do bring in some other characters around him that become more focal as well.
Right.
So that is one key thing to all of this, is that I do introduce other characters, and it's not just my one guy all the time.
And then I'm just looking at the covers of the books as well. As I scroll through, I see a lot of choppers on the cover of the book. Does that go along with your love for flying and your volunteer work as well?
Well, it would. Okay, so the story is, like I said, the grid goes down. I'm following this group of families in a little town, trying to help each other and create a community and and all of that, and help people that are showing up on their doorstep. They're stranded on the freeways. And even when, sometimes that just doesn't work out that great to be to do the right thing. But they still keep on trying, and they have a bit of a moral compass about them too. There's a main, not a main character, but a character within the story that is a young Catholic priest who becomes a kind of their moral compass. So they do try to help people and not just enclose themselves and block everybody out. But then eventually they realize that there's more going on than just a power outage. There's a coup against the country happening. So they join a Minuteman militia to fight back. And that's where the militia has a Huey helicopter. And I guess the whole thing of the helicopters was that, it just kind of moved that direction. I'm like, okay, well, this is where it's going. I need to learn about helicopters now. So I went to an air show in Dayton, and I said, okay, I want to ride in one. There was a group there that gave rides on helicopters. So I said, okay, I need to ride in one of these things, and I want to feel it. And it was great. I mean, the whole adrenaline rush, the first time going up and everything. Oh man, it really was something. And but the thing was, these group was so helpful and welcoming. I just didn't leave. I just stayed with them all day, and got my lunch and just hang out with them all day, and they invited me back the next day, and so that's kind of how it all worked out. That I became a volunteer with this with the group, Army Aviation Heritage Foundation, and I just started showing up and helping them set up their tents and getting their whole space prepared, for their air shows, and so now I sell books with them at air shows. I'll be at the Dayton Air Show this year with them, and I'll give them a percentage back when I sell books at their show, and that's kind of how that all worked out. I had an interest there, but the interest really grew once I got involved.
So they're raising funds in that foundation. What are they trying to do?
Keep their helicopters running.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Really?
They have two locations, one in Atlanta and one in St. Louis, and they have multiple Huey helicopters and Cobra TAC helicopters also, and a lot of retired pilots. A lot of guys who are just trying to keep that history alive, and all of that. So that is their main function. Is keeping that history alive, paying their bills, keeping their doing all that for their helicopters. That's great. And I imagine they have some ways that they are giving back to the community and things like that. But that's their main function.
That adrenaline feeling of being in that helicopter for the first time and it taking off, does that feed its way into your writing? Do you think? Does that really help you
to
write? Yeah.
I have to, and really, it's really kind of my method of writing is that, I want to feel it. I want to experience it. I want to be able to articulate it. I need to have that. I need to have that feeling. And so I push for that. And when I got to the later books, I included a Cobra attack helicopter into it. And so, that's just a 2-seater. And the fee to ride in it is $800. And I paid it, and it's a nice write-off, but it was a great feeling to have that, to have that whole feeling of the liftoff, and they did some special things with me, for my flight. He had an agreement with a local, farmer that he could attack their barn once in a while.
Really?
And so we had that.
Wow.
Which of course I included in the book as well. So that was really neat. To be able to do those kinds of things. Just the rush of it. And there's a part in the story of the river locks. The river locks really intrigued me. And I managed to meet the manager of a river lock in Ohio. No, it was in Indiana. And I went and he allowed me to come in and just hang out at the lock all day and talk with the employees and watch the barges go through and be there right firsthand, see it all, and that was great. Being able to be on the lock and tour through it and see everything, that was really neat, and it gave me a real neat insight to be able to write about it. So of course I had to have a battle within a lock and be able to move around within it, and I could see it and feel it when I was writing about it.
It's amazing. Okay, so what do we need to know about your main character for the Cold Winter? Anything specific that a new reader should know about this character before they start reading?
No, I pretty much introduced them very well to him. It was just, he has, like I said, he has similarities to me. He's a computer programmer, which means he basically doesn't have any military experience. He's just a regular guy, and he makes mistakes. He doesn't save the day all the time. He doesn't have the right answers all the time. So he's a regular guy, and like I said, I put him through a lot. Poor guy. But he's also very similar to me. I have a son that's on the spectrum, and my character has a son on the spectrum as well. And he has some really good scenes. And actually in the third book, he becomes the hero of the day, which gives me a little bit of an emotional feedback as well.
Is your character then being embraced by the military community then? Similar to how you have been?
He is. Yeah. He tries hard. He wants to work with them, and so it's kind of like me as well. That I am I'm finding my new ways to serve. So he is embraced. Yes, I have to say that.
And that makes sense
because he is trying so hard.
Yeah, and it makes sense because then you'd be on tour, supporting your books on base, talking to active military, right? You're putting yourself in the place where you are interacting with people the same way your character would in the book. I like that.
Yeah, I have to say it like that. Yeah. He wants to be part of the gang, and so that's
and you're also very supportive of the gang too. You're there to help and raise money, awareness. Through your books, through your events, you're helping to raise money for these amazing people as well. So you're part of the solution, which I love.
Right.
It's great. So my podcast is living. The solution. Right. My podcast is Living the Next Chapter. So it's all about what's coming next as well. You said you're going to take a little bit of a break from writing, but are there any more books in the Cold Winter series, or would you be moving on to a new project if you start writing again?
Well, with the Cold Winter series, all right, to go further, with what is going on, the story is using the helicopters, but also using a World War II landing ship as part of the story, going up the Ohio River. It's a ship that's on. It was a ship that was there on D-Day. One of the big ships that landed on the beach of Normandy, and tanks rolled out the front of it. It was one of the ships that could hold 20 Sherman tanks, and rolled them out on the beach of Normandy. And so I used that ship. And so last year I toured with the ship. It still runs by its own power. The ship went down the Ohio River and then up the Mississippi to St. Louis, and then further up even up to Muscatine, Iowa. And I was aboard that ship for a month, and we sold books we had 3 weekends that we had tours that we stopped at, one with St. Louis, and I sold 1,400 books during that tour. And with that, I was able to give $8,000 to the ship as a donation.
Nice.
So next year, this year in October, we're going to go to Nashville, and I'm going to be aboard selling books as well. So we're going to be going down the Cumberland River and doing that, and so I'm really looking forward to that. But as the story goes, the story is I send a Cobra attack helicopter to Niagara Falls to try to liberate the power station. We're trying to get the power going again, and so we're trying to actually come to a conclusion with the whole story of we've had the whole winter. This is 3 months of the story with my four books, and we're trying to get the power going again. So a fifth story might be a really neat thing of going into the recovery. What can go wrong in a recovery, and so that could be really fun.
Interesting.
And take it to a new level, a new story. So that's probably where the story is going to go.
As someone who lives near Niagara Falls, I totally endorse this. I think this is great to have books written about where I live in this part of the world. That's amazing. What a great opportunity to be on that ship that has served, come back to the U.S. from serving. Like the history, I love history so much. And just to be on that ship and to know that it's still running and still going, like that's amazing. That's wow.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, it was. And, being aboard for 30 days and, sleeping in the bunk beds and all of that was really something. It was really something to be through it and working shifts. And I was part of the crew. I worked in the wheelhouse, and it was really neat. And, and as far as future things happening with me, I will be in Buffalo for the 4th of July. There's a Comic-Con the weekend before, the Nickel City Comic-Con. I'm going to be at that. And then the Naval Museum has invited me to come there on the 4th of July and sign my books on one of the destroyers there. So,
wow.
And actually, I had met with them earlier when I was first writing the book, and I told them I wanted to use one of their ships in my story. And so they gave me a private tour and went through with the coordinator of the museum there, and I told him my idea, and I'm not going to get into the idea with you.
Yeah.
I use it in a very unique way. I use the ship as it's sitting. I use the Sullivan's destroyer, and it has no engine. It just has a rudder, no guns, but it's a major part of the story as it's sitting. And I told him what I was going to do with the ship, and he was just so excited about it. He thought it was just the greatest idea in the world. And I even sent him the 2 chapters that the ship is in, and he helped me edit it and helped me get it to make sure that it's accurate. So it was very cool, very great stuff that they stood behind me with it all. And so I'll be signing my books on the Sullivans.
That's amazing.
For the 4th of July.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's great. Wow. That's amazing. I love it. Okay, let's talk about your website. We want to wrap up. We want to get you out of here because you got lots of stuff to do. So maybe some more bottles to find in your walls. You got other things to do, right? So your
You're really
website,
intrigued with that, huh?
I love that story. I'm going to be thinking about it all day. Let's talk about your website. Where do you want to send the listeners so they can fall in love with your books and follow your journey?
My website is author Chris A Underwood. There's another Chris Underwood out there who writes fantasy, so I'm trying to separate myself from him.
Yeah.
But author Chris A Underwood.com. It has my books on it there. Also, just going to Amazon and having a look at what's out there for me. But I'm just now I'm putting together all of my tour. That is so I'm going to put that on my website. I've been lagging behind. But if they want to get in touch with me, be on my my newsletter list, my email list, that'd be great. I would because I try to keep everybody informed of where I'm going to be next and what I'm doing.
Beautiful. And you got clips on here too. You can watch a YouTube clip of you on the ship as well. I believe that's the ship, right? So that's really cool. YouTube. I like that.
Yeah, and that was just after the 3 books. So I need to do a new one now with the 4th book. But maybe I'll get something done on the Sullivans there in Buffalo. That'd be cool.
Beautiful. Yeah, get that on that website. I love that. It's great, Chris. Thank you for making time for us. Thank you for great stories, and it's exciting to have you here. I'd love to have you back in the future. Keep us in mind. We always love to reconnect with our authors when they work on new stuff down the road. So come back. Love to have time with you.
Yeah. Maybe after I'm up there at Niagara Falls, we could talk again. see how that went.
Excellent. Love to have you back. Everyone, all information for Chris in the show notes. Go check out the videos. Go to his YouTube channel as well and subscribe and follow him there as well. But definitely reach out on the website too if you want. It says right here, order a signed copy of the book. So there you go. That would be a nice thing to have. But you have a lot of great things to fall in love with, a lot of great stories. And start with the first one. Start with book 1 in the Cold Winter series and then buy them all. And then leave a great review as well for everyone so you know why you love them, right?
Review.
That helps.
Yes, I'm trying to do my best to get a good following going here.
Excellent. Chris, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Glad to have you here.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for having me. This has been great.
Excellent. Hey, thanks for listening to the podcast. Glad to have you here. I just want to let you know that you can always find out what we're doing live in the moment by going to our YouTube channel. Head over to livingthenextchapter.com. There'll be a link right there. Head over to our YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all the things that all the YouTubers love to say. And in our YouTube channel, a couple things. You're going to get advanced listens. You're going to get the episodes that we're working on in real time. So we record and post daily on our YouTube channel. I'd love for you to give us a follow over there. As well, we're making playlists. We have over 500 episodes. So finding the right episode for you, we're trying to group things into playlists. So if you like children's books, if you like business, you like historical fiction, we're grouping our authors together to make it a little easier for you to find your favorite next author. So head over to livingthenextchapter.com. And again, I'd love to hear from you. Hearing from the listeners of the show is great. And I just want to say thank you for being a part of the podcast family. And I look forward to having you back for the next episode. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate your time and your listen. Take care.